Namaste. Welcome. So, three important topics that I will be sharing with you. And all of this could help you plan for your future study, for example, self-practice, self-learning, and even evaluate your present program, as well as if you wanted to learn more about the process of energy channeling, Kundalini awakening, or if the principle is already calling or knocking, you might be entertaining some principles that you may want to learn more about these topics before actually doing them. Okay, is there really a way for us to learn how to open the Kundalini energy? And if there is a process involved, what are the elements needed? And of course, the role of the teacher. And the general learning, I would say, curve or pattern in general. Let me talk about the role of the teacher. This is quite relative. I didn't have a guide because back then I actually didn't know that all of the things that I was doing will lead me to this stage of development. Actually, it's organic. I was just enjoying the practice. Maybe I was just lucky or unlucky to be practicing elements which agree to the nature of our development. Not just the Kundalini, the whole of the process itself, because really as we have to tackle an order of development which suits the nature of our energy and our body itself, because the Kundalini energy, looking back, really goes through a transformative development process, and it starts with the body. So in a nutshell, it starts with the body, then the breath, and finally inside the nervous system. So the initial stages would have to be utilized and harnessed and developed first, which includes building strength, physical strength, stamina, flexibility, mobility, very important, of the hips and the spine. And after that, you're going to be exploring the breath regulation on top of the previous stage, so you can do internal cleansing and allow the breath to flow, utilize the bandhas, and then finally you're going to be allowing the bandhas to process the energy, so it goes subtle, it goes to the brain. So it's from the body to the breath to the nervous system, from something which is tight and tangible to a more flowing energy, which is the breath, and all until we're able to refine the energy so we can isolate the Kundalini and allow only the absolute form to enter the brain through meditation, of course. Yeah. So if you have a guide, a teacher who has been through the process and then just going in and out of the experience over and over again, that is very, very helpful. Because you don't want to be mixing elements. Because if you mix the elements, you will confuse your system, you will confuse your learning, and you might end up achieving nothing. Be patient, all right? If, for example, you decide to seek guidance and then the teacher gives you the program, stick with the program and allow it to grow. Because in the first place, that program has worked for someone. Right? It's not a guarantee that it will work for you, but there's a truth hidden inside that particular wisdom. You must allow it to grow, allow it to develop through time and practice. And not be too impatient because you're not satisfied maybe a year into the practice, you're not feeling, you're not getting the desire you want, and then you transfer and you seek another principle, another guidance, words, read books, and then you're mixing many elements, because really there are many conflicting elements, not because they are wrong, but because they are discussing and tackling elements which suit a particular stage of the development. And then you don't want to be mixing all these elements. Otherwise, you will be achieving nothing. Because there's this particular point in the practice that happens really unexpectedly. And the highest probability of you achieving that or attaining that sensitivity is when you are still beginning the practice, the initial stages, which is the physical. Because really, the Kundalini energy is physical in nature. It's a natural sensation that comes from the head. So if you will not allow the method to grow organically, you might miss the point. Alright, it happened to me so unexpectedly, the least expected time. I was writing, and then suddenly I just felt something gush out of my head. It's very subtle, actually. It's so easy to miss. It's really so easy to miss. And then if we are so busy entertaining many ideas and many principles and many methods, we might miss that point. All right, and that point, that point is really very important, because that is where you're gonna grow the rest of your future elements from. All right. So from that seed, you have a reference point to grow your practice. So when you're able to feel now that manifestation is really very actual sensation, it could be different to some people. Mine happened like there's some elements gushing in and out of my pelvis, like I thought I was bleeding, but it's not really scary, but something different. Because you feel something different, they're out of ordinary experiences, you will keep exploring. Alright, and that would be your starting point. Really, that will be your starting point. So it might manifest differently to some people, but that is the concept. There is always that starting point that you will develop your future practice from. And then from then, alright, the concepts and the initial program that the teacher will be giving you, would not be as essential anymore, because when you're able to feel that point, you will develop your own. Really, your bandhas definitely will be developed at that time. Your bandhas will just organically lead you. So it's really our teacher inside, the bandhas. So after the initial external guide, external tool, we develop our own. We become our own teacher. So, but the most important is allow the initial guide and allow the initial wisdom to really serve the purpose of developing your own practice. And then from there you grow. Alright. So, yes, there is a system, there is a process, but it's really up to us to practice it. Of course, this varies because we have different priorities, commitments, limitations, our nature. My nature is different from the person beside me, but that's the concept. That's the concept. Now, there's always this distinct manifestation of that Kundalini energy, and it will allow it to be felt, when you're ready. So give it time to grow. Give the time for the practice, and then practice it over and over and over again. Because really, I tell you, the process of awakening the Kundalini is when the mind and the body they stop thinking, and then the energy will manifest. So if we are too impatient because we are seeing new methods blossoming out there and you want to try, no, it will not happen. So it really should be practiced alone, and allow it to develop in time. So the moment you feel it happen, that's it. It will just grow organically, and it's up to you. Really, that's the beauty of the process, when you allow it to grow from the seed, because from there you will understand everything surrounding this aspect in a more real-life perspective. Something very safe, something very beautiful, because you are actually building it your own from that seed. So there's no danger actually if you, because you know your body, you know your nature, and then from there you will suit the program based on your nature, based on your circumstances, and there's no danger. So you just allow it to grow over time. Really depends on you and how far you want to take this process. For me, I just kept exploring until now. I keep exploring, and the realizations, the manifestations just keep growing. It's ever flowing. It's so abundant. Sometimes there's so much to share, but little time. And there was never a time that I hurt myself. There was never a time that I regret and become too angry about the process. It's so beautiful. It comes from within. But the seed is important, and the seed, internally it comes from you definitely, but for you to build it, you need that foundation, and definitely that would have to come from a teacher. The way to learn it is actually within ourselves, really within ourselves. There's this true to the wisdom when you say, don't look outside. Yeah, just look inside, and it's inside. Really, literally, it's inside. And then when you're able to realize it from that perspective, it's a beautiful process. It's a really beautiful journey. Stick with your present practice and allow it to grow organically. Yeah, Kundalini awakening happens in stages, really. And for example, you are at the stage that it's not happening to you. Maybe you're mixing too many elements, right? Maybe you're mixing too many elements. It's not about the complexity of the asana. Really, it's not about that. It's not how long you could hold the breath. No, it's not about that. It's really feeling that seed energy, right? That seed manifestation, and from there you grow it. And then when you grow it from there, the order of your progression will just be beautiful. You just don't have to actually think about it. Yeah, it will just lead you there. So for example, you are at this stage of your practice that you're mixing too many elements, you might as well consult someone, a teacher. And from there, the teacher will rearrange the program. Although it might take another journey, a long journey, because you might have developed already some patterns inside you that could be difficult to change, but it's still possible. Really, it's still possible. So yes, it's really about you building that principle inside, and then not mix too many principles. Worse is this, really, tell you, reading. Alright, so you don't want to be reading too much. You don't want to be consulting the books too much, because really what is written in the books is just the words, the descriptive side of it. The manifestations are really very different. Really very different. But you will understand the essence of the words when you start feeling it yourself. Alright. Well, I teach this methods that somehow as a teacher I need to do my research. But really until now, if you're going to ask me to name the 7 chakras, I would have to rethink, because really I didn't know the names, yeah, when I was feeling it already. So it's the experience first before the theory. Yeah. If I would, for example, be reading some article for reference, I don't have to actually read the whole article. 1 sentence or 2 sentences, they're enough for me to understand the whole book. So that's how ingrained the process should be, yeah, before reading theories. In the practical, I would say, application, you don't need them. It's more of really sensations inside the body. Unless you're teaching, maybe you will be needing some forms of theoretical study. But for self-practice, really not necessary. So if you're going to ask me if you need to study outside learning Kundalini or any forms of energy channeling, not necessary. Yeah, but if you're lucky enough to have the resources to seek guidance and do courses, I would encourage you to do practical courses, something which is long-term, that you will be guided only by one principle and one concept at a time. And you can't achieve it by doing, for example, a 30-day course or even a 1-month course. You need to be under the guidance of that particular principle before moving to the next. Actually, when you start to feel its manifestation, you will just be able to develop it your own, all the way to the finish, really, all the way to the finish. Yeah. So the wisdom of the discussion is this: allow it to grow, give time, all right? Have faith, all right? You have a guide, you don't have a guide, really doesn't matter, really doesn't matter. Yeah, what's important is your practice. Do the elements over and over and over again until your body stops thinking. For example, asanas. Yeah, you don't have to actually think where you position the arms. They will just go. You may look crooked, you might not be pointed. Actually, the energy, when you feel it, it's like that. It's not perfect. Yeah, its ways. It's and it will really allow you to realize that all of the things that you see, read, they're not actually the same when you feel it yourself, because it's really opposite inside the body. And only when you allow it to grow inside you, you will be able to realize and understand all of this. There's always this gray spaces in the learning process, and the gray ones, yeah, the unsure ones, actually, they are the most meaningful. Yes, only when you are at that point of your practice that you are almost to give up, yeah, that, oh, this is too hard already, I want to give up, suddenly it happens. Yes, yeah, it really happens. Least expected moments of our life. One more thing before we close, yeah. Personal experience, yeah. I felt the spot of my chakra open. Really, aside from the actual sensation inside, I was preparing my lunch after the practice, and suddenly I just heard this beautiful singing music, like choir singing, yeah, around here, playing here. Like the music or the sound is so close but too far. I was like, where is that beautiful music coming from? Out of nowhere. Yeah. And then yes, she will make her presence felt in the least expected moment. Yeah. So listen, really listen, look, practice, have faith. Yeah. That's the best advice I could ever give to anyone for a beautiful journey of not just Kundalini, actually, yeah, the way we live this existence, if you want to call it that way. Right. See you in the next round. Namaste.